My name is Alexis and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about demons. And this is a demon vlog, not vlog, but demon update to the Studio Demon Army. If you guys don't know, the Studio Demon Army is Slaanesh and Khorne, with Slaanesh being the more prominent one that I wanted, but somehow I ended up with more Khorne. I don't know how that happened, but it did. I don't really understand it, but it happened. I guess the blood god favors me. What can I say? Now, before I go into showing you guys some of the stuff and some of the updates and some of the paint jobs and everything that I have been doing as far as I could, like as much as I could, I want to talk about the demons of Warhammer 40k just a little bit. So here's a little bit of lore about the demons in the world of Warhammer 40k. The demons exist in an extra dimension called the Warp. In this dimension, thought becomes reality. So literally, to banish a demon, it's begone thought. I'm sorry, that is a terrible joke, but I had to make it. Now, that all being said, demons are literal constructs of minds of more intelligent beings, such as Eldar, Orks, humans, and various other creatures in the galaxy, though I don't know if Orks actually can spawn demons, but they do have a lot of anger, which does reflect in the Warp. Though it may go to their god Gorgamork, but we're unsure of that. As of right now, I'm going to say that because of their aggression, and because of their anger, and their enjoyment of battle, that their emotion, as well as human emotion, as well as Eldari, Kroot, Tau, and all of the very more intelligent races in Warhammer 40k, their thoughts, their feelings, exist as demons in the Warp. They fully manifest within the Warp. Now, some of these thoughts just turn into Furies, or some of the more lesser demons that no one cares about. Now, Furies are the lowest tier level of demon. They're little bat-like creatures that are actually fairly strong. Keep in mind, it is still a demon. Let's be real, it's still a demon. They usually attack in swarms, usually in the RPG games. Some of the actual games like Inquisitive Martyr has a couple of Furies in it, but that game is okay, it's not great. But anyway, the lowest form of demon are Furies, made out of thoughts of anger and anguish, just quick little things that can come after you. They typically look like harpies or usual like little vampire bats. They're small and the lower class of demons. Moving up, you have the demons that have collected multiple thoughts and consciousness and formed into a single being. These would be the regular demons of said army. Now, before I get into this, I should explain how the Warp actually works and how the gods are one being yet multiple and omnipresent yet being single-minded. I know it's confusing, so let's talk about gods. When the Warp was first formed, the Chaos Gods always existed but never came into being, but sort of always existed because time is different in the Warp. That is confusing, right? Yes? Okay, that's 40k lore in a nutshell. The gods didn't actually birth into being, where birth being the collective consciousness of billions of thoughts and souls into a single-ish form, which formed the Chaos Gods. Now, the easiest way to explain them is during the reign of the Eldar, their hedonistic behavior and their galactic-wide empire caused enough of a rift in the realm of souls, which was the Warp prior to being called the Warp. Because of that, they birthed the Chaos God Slaanesh. Slaanesh is the god of hedonism, pride, and excess. A lot of people refer to Slaanesh as the god of sex, which is kind of true in a sense, but this is massive excess we're talking about. This is stuff that you can't even watch on the internet levels of craziness that formed Slaanesh. This is stuff that the Drukhari do in their most hedonistic behaviors, which birthed Slaanesh. Slaanesh wasn't the first god to be born, but it kind of was, but it wasn't. It's very confusing. So I'm going to get to the Chaos Gods in an order. They're not in the creation order, just in an order that I like to talk about. So I'm going to start with Slaanesh. Slaanesh's demons, the demonettes, the fiends, the greater demons of Slaanesh, and the demon princes, and the Keepers of Secrets, and the Exalted Keepers of Secrets. There are, of course, some that I may have missed, such as Chariots, Exalted Chariots, Heralds, Exalted Heralds on Chariots, Exalted Heralds, and a few other varying demons. Slaanesh has the lowest number of actual demons because she or he, depending on the god, it doesn't matter what the pronoun is, because it is a god and it is an omnipotent being, so pronouns are just out the window, it doesn't matter. For this video, I'm going to refer to Slaanesh mostly as a female, just because I view Slaanesh as more feminine than masculine, but it is the ultimate duality of the god that makes Slaanesh Slaanesh. Now, the basic demon is the Demonette. The Demonette is a hideous yet beautiful, horrific yet attractive, horror yet absolute irresistible creature, both at the same time. They have crab-like appendages that protrude from their arms, and this is how humans perceive them and how Eldar perceive them. I don't know how Orks perceive demons. I've often wondered if they were just giant guns that run at them. Now, the way a demon works is how you perceive it is how it appears, but it itself has a different form. It is an immaterial form, meaning it has no physical presence in this reality. But if we explain quantum physics, we can explain demons in 40K, and I'm not kidding. They occupy two spaces at the exact same time, one in the warp, one in reality. Usually they need something in reality to bind themselves to. A human host, for instance, makes a great place for a demon to actually be created and formed, and that becomes a possessed or a secondborn, or there's various titles for it. But any demon, all demons in 40K, in order to exist in reality, need something to bind them to reality. Now that can be a thought, a microcelled organism in the air itself, though that demon would not be very powerful. An object, such as, I don't know, this for instance, could house a demon, and so on and so forth. Demons prefer living hosts as they become more powerful because it is a living being. A demon bound to a weapon, for instance, becomes a demon weapon. And that weapon can be wielded by a Chaos Space Marine, a Chaos Sister, any type of fallen in the Imperium, or a Loyalist, even. Some Radical Inquisitors tend to wield them, but I digress. Let's get back to Demonettes. Demonettes are your base form demon for Slaanesh. They are tall and slender. They are very similar to the Eldar in appearance, which only makes sense because Eldar souls are what originally created Slaanesh and her demons, and they are incredibly fast, mostly because they are both there and not there, but they're also fast because they're sort of Eldar, but not really, and they are the fastest of the demons. Slaanesh's main assault is turn 1, which is crazy, and they all have an ability called Quicksilver Swiftness, which allows them to attack first regardless of the turn order for combat. Now this does not go over the multiple charge thing where charging units always go first, but it does allow the first charge unit to attack first, then the rest of them. I'm going to get back to lore. Sorry, I am ranting. I apologize. So, Demonettes come in various sizes, various weapons, various loadouts. They are the fast demons. Next up we have Fiends. Fiends are the collective thought of hedonism created into more of a centauric creature, usually by binding two people together and fusing them into one, forcing them to be eternally tormented yet eternally pleasured while they chase across the battlefield looking to do the exact same thing that happened to them to other creatures. Other living creatures, other conscious creatures, other stronger-minded creatures. Keep that in mind. Now, Fiends' newer lore is a little bit different. They're just essentially centaurs that charge across the battlefield, ripping things apart. They are a fast assault, and they are the kind of like cavalry unit of Slaanesh, along with their chariots and their seekers, and kind of everything else in their army. I digress. Anyway. Fiends are a very quick and very good option for a demon army, and I highly suggest picking up at least 3 boxes of them, as the Fiend models themselves look absolutely beautiful. The new ones, of course, look beautiful, and I absolutely love them. Next up, we have the Seekers. Seekers are a type of demonic creature similar to the Fiend in design, except only bipedal instead of quadruped, and it requires a special demonette in order to ride it. That demonette needs to, well, essentially do a demonic pact with its with another demon in order to ride it and tame it and use it into battle. This is, of course, true for the what are these guys called? They are called, wow, I am the brass dude riders of the Khorne guys. What are they called? Oh my god, I am drawing such a blank. They are... Wow, I drew a complete blank. I'm sorry. The guys that ride rhinoceroses. Blood Crushers. Thank you, brain. Anyway. Once they made this demonic pact, they gain all of the demon's abilities for their own, as well as being able to dismount the demon and still be a full demonette. They are extremely fast, extremely powerful, and with the multiple weapons and multiple creatures, they are a capable fighter, and they're very, very quick. Usually Seekers are getting into combat turn 1, just like the rest of their army, aside from Demonettes. If I haven't put this forth, the Demons of Slaanesh are a very in-your-face army, very quick, hit very hard, but they are kind of a glass cannon. They lack the survivability of Khorne to an extent. Khorne is like Slaanesh and Nurgle kind of mixed, but it lacks any type of real survivability. The entire demon army kind of does, but that is, once again, tabletop, and we will get to that in just a second. Moving on from the demons, moving on from the Seekers, we have the greater demons. These are demons that haven't really become keepers of secrets, and they haven't really become anything in particular. Usually they're just giant spawn that happen to be more dedicated to Slaanesh than anything else. There's not really much to be said about them, since GW tended to fade them out back in 5th edition, and it's a real shame because I like the greater demons of Slaanesh, and it wasn't a keeper of secrets, not yet, it was just a greater demon, and I really like I really liked it. Moving on, we have the Demon Princes. Demon Princes are once mortal people who have dedicated their life to hedonism, in this case turning them into a Slaanesh Demon Prince. Slaanesh Demon Princes exist to do exactly what Slaanesh's will is, and have no real free will of their own, much like the rest of the army. They are just an extension of Slaanesh themselves, and they seek to glorify Slaanesh's name. Usually Demon Princes are in charge of armies and lead out into the mortal realm, but for the most part, Slaanesh isn't really interested in the mortal plane as much as the other Chaos Gods. Keep in mind, she still is, just not to the same extent as Khorne or Nurgle or Tzeentch. Now, that being said, Demon Princes are usually sometimes Space Marines. They can be Imperial Guardsmen, they can be Sisters of Battle, and that has actually happened. Well, actually it hasn't happened to a Sister of Battle. A Chapel became a Keeper of Secrets, though. That was a thing. But I digress. Varying races can turn into demons, and once they surrender themselves to the Chaos Gods, the body is possessed and transformed. If they have done enough good deeds in the name of their gods, they become a Demon Prince. If they fail at any point, they become a spawn. Moving on, we have the Keepers of Secrets. Keepers of Secrets are the greater guardians of Slaanesh themselves. They are they're similar to Demon Princes. Actually, they're pretty much Demon Princes, but their entire existence is a demon and not a mortal at some point. Demon Princes can also be from demons, but it's iffy there, and I don't know if that lore is still technically canon, so... Anyway. Moving on, we have the Exalted Keepers of Secrets, like Zarachniel, and that new one who's... Salaxiel, I think it is. I can't pronounce the name. Don't hate me for not pronouncing it. But those are the great guardians of Slaanesh. They are the ones that inherit her will entirely, and they are super powerful. Then, of course, there's my boy Fulgrim. And Fulgrim is on almost the same level as an Exalted Keeper of Secrets. when it comes to that. So, that is some of the lore and a very brief example of Slaanesh's lore. For Khorne's lore, it's pretty simple. Are you a murdering psychopath? Yes? Okay, good job. You become a Khorne berserker. Anyway. Let's try to get away from that. Khorne is the chaos god of blood, violence, bloody violence, and violence bloody. He is the god of honor in some cases, but not really anymore, but sometimes he is. So he likes an honorable fight versus a dishonorable fight, but at the same time he also likes bloodshed from everywhere. So you could have an honorable fight in the name of Khorne, or you can just run around a maternity ward trying to get a high score, and you'd still gain the favor of the Blood God. Now, that being said, Blood God has several demons of his own, including flesh hounds, including skull cannons, and demon princes, bloodletters. What are their demons called? Bloodthirsters, blood crushers, exalted demons, and so on and so forth, to the same extent as Slaanesh. The demon armies were kind of meant to be equal equal amount of models in all of the different armies, so different units. Like, you would have a Keeper of Secrets, it would match a Bloodthirster, you would have a Demon Prince, you would have a Demon Prince, you would have Demonettes, you'd have Bloodletters, you'd have Seekers, you'd have Blood Crushers, and so on and so forth, including Chariots. Demons really like chariots. I don't know why, but they do like their chariots. I mean, in all fairness, if you can't ride up in a car, you might as well ride up in a chariot. Why not? Now, that all being said, Khorne cares not from where the blood flows, but Khorne hates Psykers. Exclusively hates Psykers, yet is a complete hypocrite and definitely uses Psykers. He also uses magic, and he disguises it by calling it the Blood Mist. He also flat out uses sorcery, yet he still hates it. Hypocrite is kind of the biggest thing for Khorne, and it is kind of one of the funniest things ever, because I consider him the god of hypocrites, where at least Tzeentch is the god of, well, at least I tried to tell you. Anyway. Moving on. The Flesh Hounds. Flesh Hounds come in various sizes, including Kurnoth, who is a 3-headed Flesh Hound. They're not really unique characters as much as just demons that happen to be that at the time. Flesh Hounds hunt down Psykers and those that flee from battle. They hunt down cowards. That is their main thing, but they're also unleashed as the first wave of attacks from a demon army, usually from a Khornate army. Oh, I'll correct that. Next up, you have the demons of Khorne, the Bloodletters. I don't know why they're called Bloodletters, but if you definitely need to know your ABCs, it starts with B-L-O-O-D. I don't know why it does, but it does. Anyway, the Bloodletters themselves have an alphabet soup style army fighting style, where they come into battle and all they really do is move slightly fast and have a big sword. It's not really that impressive. They're a bit stronger than the Slaanesh demons, but overall they're there. They're survivable with their 5-up invulnerable save, same as the Demonette, and they're actually pretty effective on the battlefield. They're a small unit to summon, and they're really quick to actually get onto the battlefield and get across and really pester an opponent's unit, because they're strong enough to deal with most heavy infantry, where Slaanesh really just wants to hit the light things. Slaanesh really doesn't have too much that can deal with tanks, aside from Zerachniel, who deals with them like they're nothing. But Khorne can actually deal with those things. Blood Crushers of Khorne make up their fastest units. They are deadly in close combat, and are armed with the same type of weaponry as the Bloodletters. They're fast-hitting, hard-hitting, heavy infantry that can move across the battlefield with some speed. I don't know too much lore about Khornate demons, I will admit that, so most of my experience with them comes from the tabletop game, so I do apologize. Next up, we have the Demon Princes of Khorne. Angron is one of the most famous. He is an exalted demon prince. He is a demon primarch. He is gigantic. He is the god of blood. Well, not the god of blood. He is a very angry boy. And for the most part, his story is semi-tragic. Not because his father just teleported him aboard his ship. No, that's not the tragic part. The tragic part is he was forced to turn into a demon against his will. And, yeah, kind of just went, okay, whatever, and accepted it. Which kind of sucks on his case. The whole thing about him being Spartacus and him being teleported above, I don't really care about. But him as a tragic character, when it comes to being forced to turn into a demon, I do care about. I like them. I have several Bloodthirsters in my army, though they are too small now, so they are Demon Princes. Bloodthirsters make up the champions of Khorne. They huddle up in the Brass Citadel and fight for all eternity until Khorne goes, hey, somebody else to fight, go get them. And then all of them try to make their way out and try to fight and prove themselves worthy of Khorne. I mean, personally, I'm not really a Khorne person, but if there was a cauliflower god, I would go for that, especially if it was covered in cheese. Really like cauliflower and cheese. Or, you know what, carrots. I would fall to a god of carrots. I really like carrots. Or green beans. I'm going to keep dissing this army. Anyway, keep in mind I love this army. Love it. Love it to death. But that is my overview of the two armies. Why I love them. Slaanesh is an incredibly fast army that can smack really hard and tie up your opponent's entire front line, forcing them to fight where you want them to. Khorne, on the other hand, is a great counter-assault army. Your opponent gets close to you and you smash into them. You tie them up. But they both lack one thing that is very hard for them to overcome as just demon armies. Khorne has no way of actually dealing with heavy tanks such as Titans, and neither does Slaanesh, but Slaanesh can actually get, psychic powers, where Khorne lacks that in its entirety in its army, yet can still do summoning rituals, which is still a form of magic, which makes Khorne a hypocrite. So I digress. And now, let's actually take a look at some of these models that I painted, and I really want to show you some of the things that I've added to the army to make it more unique. So starting off with the Khorne stuff, we have a bunch of blood letters. I think we have 25 blood letters. Yeah, 25 blood letters, including the original ones, which are hilarious. And these ones, which just got done, and all of their weapons have brass on them. And I tried to make their base look like molten rock. It didn't really come out as well as I wanted it to, but at least it looks like dirt. I got a banner and instrument in here. And yeah, just blood letters. Instruments are always useful. Banners are always useful. I like the way they look. Regardless, I'm going to play with how they look. So one of the things that I tried to do is this is the first time I used an airbrush on an army. And I really wanted to show off the way of using metallics with an airbrush. So their swords appear to be black until you start getting close to them, until they shine the brass colored. And they have multiple colors on them. Over towards the flesh hounds themselves, we have a ton of them. I think we have 30 flesh hounds. I'm not even sure how many are here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We have 22 here out of the 30 that I actually have. Over here, we have the 3 blood crushers. One with a banner, one with no upgrades, and one that's Narastani. Not Narastani. This is Umber Nox. She Who Knocks. This is a character that I made in an RPG game, and I had to make on the tabletop. She's a corrupted sister of battle, fused with a demon, and she rides a Juggernaut. The Juggernaut's name is Slaughterborn. Why? Because it is. Over here we have one of my demon princes being assaulted by Gaunts. That's the only use for Hormagaunts that I've ever found, is to make my demon prince look cooler. His base still isn't done. I still have to do that. Most of the basing on this army is done. I have the original Bloodthirster from 1st edition. I really like him. He looks silly. Then I have the 2nd iteration of the Bloodthirster. I actually don't have any Demon Princes of Khorne, so these two are Demon Princes. Then moving over to the other army, we still need to do the 2 bases. And you just stabbed me, you jerk. Okay. If you notice, all of my blood, what are these guys called? Flesh Hounds, come from various different kits, including the original Flesh Hounds, the newer Flesh Hounds, the newest Flesh Hound, and some Vampire Hounds, and whatever the heck that is. I know it's an official GW model, but I have no idea what it is. And yeah, we just have a ton of doggos, including Kurioth. Get it, the YouTuber. That's him. Anyway. Over here we have the mask. That is my custom mask. It comes from the Batman game. We have a bunch of Seekers, including some on motorcycles. We have a ton of Seekers, by the way. A couple of Demonettes in the back. I think there's a group of 10. We have the Demon Prince combo that is a smaller demon and a Demon Prince. I think it's Shalaxial, maybe? But I decided to make my own with some other models. I think she came out incredibly good. Like, I really, really like this model. Worked really hard on that. Especially on the eyes. I don't think you can see the whites in the eyes, but you just see the yellows. Over here we have a Demon Prince of Khorne getting crushed by a Keeper of Secrets. And she is taunting him with his whip that she cut. The sword itself I tried to make look like an Eldar blade because I really wanted this one to represent that it was originally Eldar. And it has highlights of pink from Screamer pink to Emperor's Children pink. Starts off with Demonette purple. Or not Demonette. One of the purples. I forget which one. But I really wanted to show off this model because it is finally done and I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's got a nice butt. Moving next to her, we have the Demon of Greed. He just got finished. His base isn't fully done. But this is my Demon of Greed. So I wanted to give him a lot more gold on him than on the other. So his body is covered in gold, including his giant golden blade. My whole goal was to make... I want to get 7 Demon Princes, and it would be the 7 Deadly Sins. That has a prayer to Slaanesh on it. And overall, that is it for this army update so far. Now, if we look over here, which is next to my Sororitas armor, which is, needs extensive repairs. Anyway, we have a couple of Chaos Spawn in here that I need to do. The Inferno Entraptress, I think it's her name. The chick with the harp. I'm giving this one to a friend, and I found a third-party one that I really like. In here we have 10 more Bloodletters. Then we have a couple of Fiends still on sprue. Now, we have a bunch more stuff, including 60 Demonettes, 22 Steeds of Slaanesh, or what are they actually called? Seekers, 4 Chariots, and 2 Champions, so Exalted Girls. We have a ton of stuff for this army coming, and I really want to expand this army more and more, because I'm really liking the build and collecting aspect of this army. I don't know if I'll do it in battle reports, as I like to stick to Imperium and Tyranids in my battle reports. But tell me what you guys think. Did you like this army update video? I hope you did, because I really enjoyed making it. As always, I'm Alexis the Norn Queen, and I love you guys. Bye!